Okay, let's talk about Forge and Halo Reach, specifically how it relates to the custom game browser that has just released recently. Um, there's some couple of bugs that are pretty major in the Halo Reach Forge engine. Well, maybe they're built into the Halo Reach engine itself, and that's the problem. So, the first thing that you need to understand is that there is a number of, like a game object limit that is separate from the money limit that they gave you. So, you know how they give you this little budget down here in the lower right corner that tells you, in my case, 12,110 left. Now, this level I built has this problem, this flashing bug, and that's the problem. Is that the with Halo Reach, whenever you place a large number of objects within a certain distance of the camera, I noticed that if I, for example, put stuff inside the cave over there, it wouldn't have a problem. It wouldn't add to this, at least as far as I'm aware. I can't seem to get it to apply. But whenever you're in the game, yeah, it does this flashing whenever you've got too many objects being loaded at once. I believe this has something to do with the lighting engine because it looks like it's reflections. They're flashing dark like shadows and white like like they're directly in the sunlight. Um, and I know that they specifically overhauled the lighting engine in Halo 4 and Halo 2 Anniversary, and they don't have this bug. Now, it's just fine over here, but then you come over here and you try and get in this little area, and it starts flashing. Can't snipe for crap whenever you got this going on. Come over here. I've got it happening again over here. Now, in a match, it doesn't happen as bad as in Forge because it's about rendering objects, and I believe that the lighting engine has something to do with it. Like I said, I could be wrong. It could just be strictly about the game objects, but the spawn points, the initial spawn points, and the respawn points all apply to the that flashing bug issue, and that is what is primarily going to be causing it to change, to happen more often and also to more extreme extent in Forge than in any during the actual match. Like if you move forward a little bit, you'll notice the flashing can sometimes slow down. There you go. See, it's kind of slowing down. You're not really seeing it as bad. Yeah, see, there you go. It's really slow now. That's because I've gotten a few objects off the edge of the screen. And it really is about being on screen. It has nothing to do with specifically, you know, an object being in the world. It's just the objects being on screen. So that's another reason why I think it has to do with the lighting engine. If light would bounce off the object toward the camera, then you're going to have a problem. Is what I can tell. That's my assumption. Anyway, that's just one bug that is caused by that's in Halo Reach's Forge. Another one is, like I said, the budget that you have down there is separate from your total item count. Now, 343 did a great job with a lot of MCC, and in this case, they increased the budget, which allows you to, if you place a whole bunch of building blocks that are really expensive, according to Bungie's previous price point, then it doesn't matter. You still will max out. You pretty much will never max out on using up the budget. They chose 30,000, and that's as the maximum, and that's a pretty good number. The problem is that the total item count is still, I believe, 648, if I remember correctly, which to me, 650 is the item count in Halo 2. So to me, that means since Halo 2 Anniversary, was built on the Halo Reach engine, this world, to the edge of that horizon there, is probably one giant game object that you can't delete. And then beyond that place where the water changes, and you get out to some of those outer areas which are actually game objects. They're not part of the skybox. I believe that is a separate game object. So there's two game objects in this map that are already on the map. That'd be 650 minus 2, so 648. So whenever you get into Forge, you need to be aware of both of these. This is supposed to be, not just about the bugs. This is a tip These are tips for Forge, you know, people who are prospective Forge creators, because the custom game browser just released, and you might want to get into it. You do need to avoid these things. You need to try and think about them as you're going. One thing that I have in this video, this particular map that I have not fixed, is I kept all of these little, this is just a, it's a territory object. I should put this on game specific, so it only shows up in territories, because then it won't appear in Capture the Flag or anything else, and it won't bog down the game and cause more flashing. I did that with every single one of my objective items. I did that because I wanted you to be able to know where they are on the map in a map design that I created that's not a standard map in the game. So, you get into it. If you play one match at Slayer, you might notice where the flags are while you're playing, and then whenever you get into Capture the Flag, you already know where the flags are, and you can acclimate to my map very easily. Unfortunately, that's not, doesn't really work out that way in the actual game, because because of the flashing issue, I'm going to have to hide all of them. It's not going to work out that great. Anyway, I'm going to go in and fix all that myself later. But basically, not only is that a major bug with the current, Halo Reach Forge, but there's actually another one that I'm going to show you right now that has to do with teleporters. You're going to want to avoid this as well. Let's see. Here we go. Forgotten Caverns. This is one I have just recently created. And I was working on it. I had the idea of making something kind of like the idea of Chirin, where it's got, from Halo 1, where it's got a bunch of teleporters to different areas that are sectioned off, and you have to go through these teleporters to get to them. Except, I wanted to make it to where it's nothing like Chirin, in that Chirin is, you can't really follow where you're going. In mine, I've got 3 teleporters to this region. They're very simple. There is a high ground, a cavern, and a vehicle direction. You know where you're going when you pick one of these directions. You won't be going to a random room. Once you know the map, you're going to understand exactly where you're going. Now, if you go through this teleporter with a vehicle, it works. Now, did you see that? How the camera, when I go through, the camera stays forward. In Forge mode, and when you're playing the map without being online. So, in other words, if you're playing the map the way that the Xbox 360 would have done local play, then those teleporters work just like that, just fine. There's no problem. But if you're playing online, notice that the gun turret flipped? I'll go through again and let you see it. Watch the gun turret on the vehicle. See that? That, for some reason, whenever you play online, teleporters work a little bit differently. And when you go through, your camera angle will be facing the same direction as that gun turret when you get on the other end. Like, when you get to the other side, it'll be facing the direction of the gun turret, and my things mean that means that, my Warthog, if I'm going forward, is going to suddenly go like this, and it's going to turn into the wall. It's going to slam into the wall, and I'm not going to be able to do this. This map works great offline, but the moment I try to play online, the teleporters they function completely different. So this map, as much work as I put into it, you can see, it was a labor of love. I wanted to incorporate the waterfalls that are in the map. I know there's invisible barriers that prevents you from getting to them, so I can't just let you walk through the waterfalls, unfortunately. I would have loved to do that, to put a cave inside there with the waterfalls coming down. But instead I had to do this kind of thing where I barred them off behind windows. That's fine, it looks really badass. But the moment that I tried to incorporate the teleporters, it's almost made this map unplayable. It's not completely unplayable. Players will get used to it, but they shouldn't have to. It's terrible. It throws off the entire match, the entire game. It happens to tanks and Warthogs, by the way. It happens to everything. Every single vehicle I've driven through it. I haven't actually tried a flying vehicle, to be honest, but I'm sure it happens to that as well. So I took advantage of this. You see that? I took advantage of this I got a little bit of flashing bug here, but actually this flashing bug only occurs in Forge because of a lot of invisible objects like spawning, region areas and all that kind of stuff. Now I took advantage of the fact that gun turrets, even out offline, they spawn at the direction that you were facing. The problem is basically when I go through this teleporter, I'm going to be facing this direction in world space. When I come out the other end, in Forge, I will be facing a new direction in world space, and my gun turret will be facing the same direction in world space. So I'll actually be facing off to the left whenever I get through here, because the teleporter, this teleporter's here. The blue base teleporter is more like this, so my cannon should be facing off to the left whenever I go through, and sure enough, it is. Boom. So basically, that's not a problem offline, and actually I'm taking advantage of it to balance the map. I have it to where this base, you come straight in on the base from this teleporter, and that kind of gives you a bit of an advantage. Whereas the red base, you don't get to come straight in on the base. You can't just fly, you actually have to worry about coming around a corner to face the base, straight on, which in a way that means that they can't shoot at you when you come through, sure, but it also means that you do have to deal with this risk. You can't just immediately come in guns blazing, blowing everything up. At the blue base you can. So I made the blue base teleporter and, on both ends be different directions so that my gun turret be facing a different direction and I blow up the wall. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought I was taking advantage of a bug that was going to allow my, see, you can get really close to shooting straight ahead with this one in here. It's much closer to forward. And then you've got to come around the corner. So basically, yeah, I was taking advantage of this thinking it was this great, well, okay, it's a bug, sure, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to be a problem. It's not going to ruin the map. And instead, I'm going to be able to take advantage of it to use it to balance my map, even though it's asymmetrical, and that's true and all that, but the problem is whenever you get online. Whenever you get online, you have to, like I said, it starts turning your whole camera in that direction. And the vehicles in Halo have like the coolest control scheme in first-person shooters ever, where you just point the camera direction, go forward, and the vehicle will figure out how to go that way to the best of its ability. And each vehicle has its own, turning rate and movement speed and all that. It's really awesome. The problem is yeah, like I said, it becomes a problem whenever you have teleporters, and only online. And these are some bugs that that's actually one more thing. There's one more thing. These are not set to anymore. They're not set to allow projectiles through. But originally, I had set these teleporters to allow projectiles through. I turned that off whenever I got online and found out that there's another bug. Projectiles do not go through teleporters. At least not the same ones. The rocket from the tanks, HE Spew and Divine Intervention does not go through a teleporter online, even with the settings turned on. And so I just turned it off. I decided that I didn't want inconsistency in my map. I didn't think anyone was going to be playing it offline all that much or versus online, but I just figured, if it's not going to function, I'm just going to turn it off and see how, let that go. If 343 could get to these bugs, specifically teleporters are very broken. They allow vehicles through like they're supposed to, and players, but for some reason vehicles come through wrong. They don't allow projectiles through, as far as I can tell, at all online. Maybe that's a latency problem where the projectile is actually flying through space and it doesn't register hitting thing because it's moving so fast. It doesn't register hitting the teleporter and get teleported. That's a good possibility. But basically, yeah, basically, as it stands, they have the custom game browser only allow Halo Reach maps. And what I've noticed is a trend that all the Reach maps on there are old. They're from Xbox 360, practically all of them. There are a few of them that have come up that have been a little bit newer or updated, and you can tell because they have the newer assets. Like there's the one that's got it's like some kind of UNSC training camp that's actually really well done, except that it's designed to be a really wonky game type. Like if it was just a base that allowed you to just play Slayer on there, I would love it. I'd jump in that match all the time, and I'd be playing that like literally almost every time I play Halo. It's a really well done map as far as appearances go. And I might download it at some point and tweak it and turn it into a Slayer map because the current state is terrible. Or recruiting, maybe UNSC recruiting. I don't remember. The point is that it's there aren't a lot of super new maps, and the ones that are there are very arcadey. And I think that this is the reason why, because if you try to take your map making seriously, you'll make something like I did with Mombasa Streets. You'll go in and you'll try to make a really big map. But this one is a very large map as well. I'm at the maximum. I think I've got, let's see, hold on. I believe I can place one item. Nope, I can't. I can't even place one item. I think yeah, that's right. I had 2 items I could place. I added in 2 respawn points to the caverns, which is this direction. Which is like a linear little path that's got a few little, offshoots. I utilized the caves that are in Blood Gulch, turned this area into more cave network, and basically made it a full solid route all the way through. And I created these little teleporters. This drop area teleporter brings you to the orange area, and it works out. What the problem is that yeah, I'm at the very maximum. I can't make a bigger map. Obviously, if 343 could have expanded on that, they would have done it for Halo 2 Anniversary. They would have done it for Halo 4. I honestly have not gotten to mess around with Halo 5's Forge, so I could not tell you if it's, involved with that one as well. But, yeah, basically, yeah, it's just, there are some bugs that can be fixed. I think the maximum item limit was built into Halo Reach at 648. It might be because of a main game system. I think that Bungie settled on that to try to avoid the flashing bug, or to try to hide it, rather. And I think that probably just didn't work, because the flashing bug is still there. And I think that they basically, yeah, I think that there's no, that 343 would have fixed the maximum item count if they could, because bigger maps means like more items means more intricate maps. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like bigger maps. You could just put more objects into the map, more weapons, more variants on, like, this only appears during Capture the Flag versus Slayer, and I think that we're not really going to see much of a fix there. If you keep like a lot of people keep on asking them to fix that maximum object limit fix it. It's as designed, but I think that if they were to try to increase that, you're going to see the flashing bug a lot more, which means the only way, like really, realistically, if they're going to increase that item limit, that object limit, they're going to have to also repair the flashing bug. So it's 2 bugs that they're going to have to fix for, just for you to be able to place more items, and they both are major bugs. One of them is, and what I mean by that is they're difficult to fix. Like, the lighting engine is a major bug. That's something that if they change that could break the game. The maximum item limit, object limit, is something that could make it to where every single player map, all the campaign maps, may start loading in objects wrong just because they changed the limit or something to that effect. We do not know what kind of bugs could come up if they try to increase that limit, as people who have not seen the source code. So I think 343 knows what they're doing in this regard, and even if it's just a matter of they could fix it but they don't have the manpower, it's still, I'd rather them make Infinite than fix this right now. And after Infinite is launched, is finished releasing, and they have, they can take some of the people off that team and work on maybe the engine for Halo Reach, maybe we could see some kind of change. But I very seriously doubt they're going to change any of this during the current, like time scale, like before Reach or before Infinite or anything like that. So I think I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna see Infinite come out, and if any of these things get changed, we're gonna see it afterward. But that being said, if 343 could fix a bug, they need to fix the teleporter bug, because the teleporters, you never see anyone using vehicle teleporters on on the custom game browser in any of the maps on there. And I think the reason is because the game doesn't have local play anymore. It doesn't have split screen. You can't do LAN. I don't even know. Maybe these bugs will even show up in LAN. I have no idea. But the point is that if I've seen it in Jump Rope. They used vehicle teleporters in the Jump Rope game, which is like this silly, arcade style, kind of dumb game. To be honest, I played it once, twice, and got bored and never went back. That game type is its own style of play that a lot of players don't enjoy, which is why most players are sticking to the social games, I'm sure. I don't actually know the statistics there, but I'm sure that most people are sticking to social, even with the custom game browser there, because people aren't hosting maps that are real, well-made multiplayer maps, like normal Halo maps that are for Capture the Flag and Slayer and Assault and whatever, Big Team Battle, whatever. And I personally get to these points where I see the flashing bug and the cap, and I start being like, well, maybe I shouldn't even finish this map. And I have to convince myself otherwise if I ever want to see these things done, And so I do. But the point is that this one, I saw myself to the end. I started deleting things and rearranging things. I had a lot more rock walls instead of those giant metal walls, because I wanted it to be more cave-like, and it looked nicer when it was partially cave, partially metal. Before, when it was more like 50-50 or even like more rock than not. But I had to compromise because of the main count, and I continued on, and I ventured forth and finished the map. The problem is that at some point, eventually, once I was finally done, I went to try to play it online, and the teleporter bug showed up. And I realize now why people don't do vehicle teleporters. I was in the dark about this. There's a bug involved, and they become virtually useless. Not literally useless. I mean, I could play this map online, and I could tell people, in chat, just say, hey, suck it up. It's a bug. I can't fix it. 343 would have to fix that. Just get used to turning your camera as soon as you go through, or get used to no longer moving forward. Just as soon as you go through the teleporter, let go of the movement stick, let your vehicle fly down the ramp and come to a stop as you turn your camera, and then keep going. It's the only real solution here for us, the players, because there is an actual bug, an actual issue that is causing the teleporters to become less useful than they could be. Players do turn, when the player walks through without a vehicle, on foot, and they go through a teleporter, it turns their camera. When they're in a vehicle, it does not turn the camera. And that's the only problem. And I think that, basically, if we want to see more serious maps that, like, really want to play Halo specifically, not new game types that people make up like Jump Rope. If you want to see actual Halo game types playing on actual cool, original multiplayer maps, then we need this bug. We need the teleporter. We're going to see them, but you're not going to see them. You're not going to see as many unique flavors. Like, there are ways to build maps that have not been done yet. And I think that these bugs are hindering us. I definitely think that the size bug, like the number of game objects, could be, if that was possible to change that, then 343 would revitalize the entire Forge community. As soon as people found out that they could place more items that used to do Forge, they'll come back in and they'll do Forge again. I don't know if they're gonna do Halo Reach Forge. They might just stick with Halo Infinite Forge, because that's going to be amazing, it sounds like. But I think there will be some people who say, I want to go back and play Halo Reach. I really want to play some new maps in Halo Reach. All these older maps I'm getting tired of. And if I want to play a new map, I'm going to have to make one. And those people might actually go back into Halo Reach Forge. I mean, a lot of people will do it just for the fun, just for the legacy. But anyway. Yeah, this became a really long video. So Looks like we're going on just about 25 minutes. So, yeah, I'll wrap it up. That's the basic sum of it. There are 3 major bugs in Halo Reach Forge that I'm aware of. There may be more. And 2 of them, one of them is actually as designed. That's the game object limit. One of them is the what I believe to be the lighting engine hitting multiple game objects and reacting to them, but I could be wrong. Could be about rendering them on screen or something. But basically they flash. And the third one is that the teleporters don't function correctly, which limits their use. I mean, yeah, sure, you can use them in the classic I'm going to walk through it way like Halo 1 and Halo 2, but one of the coolest things about Halo Reach was that they added in the ability for players to make vehicles teleport through it. That was a really innovative thing that hadn't existed in Halo before that. I don't think Halo 3 could do it. I could be wrong about that, but I might just be forgetting. But basically, yeah, if 2 of these were fixed, if the lighting issue, the flashing issue is fixed, then you'd see a lot more big maps that don't lose it, don't go crazy. If the teleporter thing was fixed, you'd see a lot more teleporters being used, specifically for vehicles. I mean, I'd love to see one where, vehicles drop from the sky, for example. That would be really interesting. I don't know how serious that would be, but yeah. The point, or maybe just, you can get a tank up onto the cliff in Blood Gulch because you can teleport up there. If you could do a split level map, one down in the gulch and one up on one of the cliffs. And it could be, you could cut the gulch in half and make the bases up on the cliff and make you have to go around, down through the gulch and back up on the other side. This would allow flying vehicles to be very useful, especially the Falcon carrying troops, because you wouldn't have to go down and or up, back up. You just fly around. Anyway, I'm starting to add onto the video for no reason. So, yeah. All right, that's about it. There's those 3 bugs, and I just wanted to talk about them. Thanks.